So the last couple of weeks have certainly challenged me in my ability to explain complicated data.
Challenged you. I think they challenged me more.
So I'm kind of glad that this one's a bit easier for people to understand.
Yeah,
So
this is the problem.
basically what we did with this last one is we just kind of wondered, I wonder whether, it matters, and I wonder whether the point in the calendar year matters to do with when people have the scores, So we asked, and it does actually, and it's quite interesting. So I'll put a graph up on screen, but there's a consistent trend which shows that or the later in the year people have these performance scores, the higher the score, and it's quite a slow but gradual, slow but consistent trend upwards from January to December. So meaning people who have these sort of conversations earlier in the year score themselves less than people who have these later in the year. Now, this could be, and we've just had a quick conversation before we started, this could be a whole myriad of reasons, and this could be very different from business to business, but this is data from 9,500 people across multiple businesses. So it is a consistent trend.
Yeah. And I think we've got about 20,000 users on the system, but I think you've taken sort of a really even cross section for this sort of data set, haven't you? So I don't think there's even anything that we can necessarily say about industry or type of business because we've got a cross section. I think what's surprising is that the highest average score is in December. I wonder if that's something to do with the fact that 70% of our business is in hospitality, and nobody in hospitality is sitting down and doing their reviews in December and potentially January. Well, there are a lot of people launching in January. They're probably not getting their scores into the system. I wonder if we looked at it any closer, whether it would be the non-hospitality businesses and whether there would be a trend to non-hospitality businesses scoring generally higher on performance than hospitality businesses. I mean, that's a very tenuous link of the data there. But it just feels weird to me that December is the time that most of our clients don't even want to talk to us. And suddenly there's this high score. So maybe it's less people, or maybe it's head offices. Maybe they're doing theirs then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had two guesses for this. The first one was because it's highest in sort of December. I was wondering if people are busier, do they think they're doing better?
Yeah. I mean,
So
one.
if I'm really busy,
yeah,
and somebody asks me, how well do you think you're doing? I just think I'm doing fantastic because I'm busy.
Just because you're busy. True. Good one, Liam.
That was what that was what I was thinking. And then if, Jan and Feb, because Feb is the lowest. So Jan is not a great month for hospitality, is it? But a lot of people have offers on and stuff like that to try and drum up performance. And then Feb can sometimes be, even though you've got obviously Valentine's Day and stuff, but
we have a lot of people live in February as well. So typically people, if they're doing it quarterly or every 6 months, and it's set by the business rather than by the last time somebody did it or on anniversary, then people are likely to be live in sort of January, February, March. So that's sort of peak time, I would guess, for people having these types of conversations would be February. And then go again sort of July, August-ish. Again, if they're doing a sort of a regular conversation that's set by the business.
Yeah.
So I would say I wouldn't be surprised if more people were having the conversation and recording it in February than any other month. That wouldn't surprise me at all, but I don't know that for a fact. I'd have to ask somebody way more qualified than me.
Yeah, well, we can find out pretty easy. The other sort of hypothesis I had was Something we've certainly found anyway in some of the work that we've been doing is that managers have a lot more time in December and November because a lot of the work is done. It's sort of the team members and below who tend to be run off their feet. So maybe it could be management who are having these type of scores. And we haven't actually pulled out the data to say whether managers are higher on average, but given the EMPS data which we did
Yes,
last
the
time,
MPS.
maybe you could do a tenuous link to say that actually managers score themselves higher than team members.
Yes, although aren't team members higher on EMPS?
No, the senior leadership was the highest, wasn't it? Team members were actually the lowest. Team members were the least likely to recommend other people the business. So I think, before we started, we pulled this up and we said, "Oh, this is interesting," but we don't really know why yet. So I think when the listeners listening to this, I think that it's going to have to be you're going to have to go away and think about this because I think it's going to be unique to every single business. You've also got very seasonal businesses who do, some of our customers, at Pillar where I work, some of them are even closed in December. So, this is going to be very different for you, but it's definitely a thing because we've got 9,500 people across loads of businesses. So it's something worth thinking about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think we need to do we need to have a bit more of a breakdown of the data. It's got to be something about the busyness of hospitality in December is pushing that up somehow. But we just don't know in which respect.
Yeah.
But also, again, everybody, these types of conversations, they're based on how you feel in a moment, right? And again, in December, you might be stressed, but it's quite an exciting time of year, isn't it? It's like you're quite happy. You may be having some time off. Like it's going to be fun at work and all the rest of it. And February, I always find the most depressing month in the world. So I don't know if anyone else is the same. But, January, you're sort of still riding off the high of December and getting back into things and sort of, let's go for the next year. And then by February, it's just a bit like, oh my God, like when is it going to be sunny again? And I just wonder if there's something about sort of people's mental health, their state of mind by February, when again we go up to April, when the days start getting longer and things start feeling a bit nicer. I just wonder if there's anything in that as well. And I know that's got nothing to do with people's performance, but how you're feeling about yourself can impact your performance, right? And impact how you feel about your performance, certainly.
Yeah, definitely. But sometimes I think about for managers as well, isn't it? Because it might, when you're plotting your 3-month conversations, you might want to avoid some of these months because you know that they kind of skew one way or the other. December, people are going to be feeling really great maybe about life and work, and actually it's going to skew it a bit higher. Maybe everyone's sort of blue February and they're thinking, a whole nother year of work, and it's a bit depressing. So maybe just avoid those months for the truer reflection.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I'm interested to look at this a bit further and see whether it rings true. And also whether the variance in the data matters. I suppose it's a 10 percentage point between, is it? Yeah.
Bit more, isn't it? Yeah. So between Feb and
15%, the highest and lowest. But yeah, it is really interesting. At first, when I saw this, I thought this was how it tracked across 2024. And I got very excited because I was thinking, oh, this just proves that if you have career conversations and you have them regularly, then it's going to slowly improve performance over time. Improves performance over the year, apparently. But I'd be really interested to look at 23, 24, and then maybe 25, and see whether the organisations that are having regular career conversations are seeing a track in improvement.
Yeah, that's probably that. Maybe that's the next thing that we do.
Yeah. Have a look at.
Well, we thought we'd present this one because it perhaps poses something interesting, but I think you're gonna have to go away, listeners, and do some investigations yourself, and we'll come back at a future date, and we'll look at that in a bit more depth.
Also, I think it also shows that there's so much data and we don't know what's going to be useful and what isn't going to be useful until, Liam has been doing so much work on pulling this data out and recording it and tracking it. And then I've been looking at it and we don't know. And I think it's important that we're not just coming to you with all this amazing data that actually means something, that we're showing, when we're first starting to look at this stuff, we don't know either. So yeah, anyone who's got any insights or any ideas, then please let me know. It'll be very interesting.
Yeah, maybe we can have a guest on the podcast. Who knows?
God, yeah, somebody who's like an actual data scientist.
Perfect.
Steve or Sean on. They're a lot more data than me. I'm about the conversations. Just have the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what we're trying to encourage people to do with all of this.
Yeah.
To recap, is to have the prompt the conversation with Carrero, and then actually have the conversation. So
yeah.
Okay, so that concludes the 3 pieces of data that we have at the moment on this particular score question. Join us next week when we will do it all over again, and we'll come up with we'll be presenting a new question which you can use in Carrero. And I always put Joe on the spot by asking what the next question is going to be.
The next question will be, what's next for you? So this is how we look at progression. So when somebody answers this question, we ask them, what's next for you? Are you happy as you are? Are you ready to take on a new challenge? Are you thinking about leaving the business? And there's a number of answers, about 8 different options people can choose from. So let's have a look at those, and then the way that they answer those, what comes out as a result of that.
Perfect. Look forward to it. Okay, if you haven't already, subscribe, and we will see you next week. Joe, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Liam. Speak soon.
Bye.
Bye.